Hey guys, so today I want to talk about why EG, one of NA's top teams, is having such little success in the Stockholm Major. I mainly want to talk about the macro of EG gameplay and the problems I saw while watching the games. I mean, the drafting, the setup of the game, the execution of the leads they made are all something that I found pretty problematic in the EG team. So let's take a look at the following clips and see if you guys agree with me. Alright, so let's look at drafting first. So the first thing I want to talk about is actually not specific to EG, but the whole NA region. Basically, how NA likes to draft compared to the other regions is they like to pick comfort heroes that they're good at and they think that they can play well in the game instead of trying to counter the enemy lineup, right? So what I mean by that is, let's take a look at this game, for example, EG versus Tundra game 1, right? So first off the bat, they pick Storm Spirit, which is Abed's favorite hero, the comfort hero, his best hero, right? And the enemy immediately just picked Grimstroke and Doom, which are both pretty good into Storm Spirit, right? Grimstroke, Silence plus ulti just completely locks Storm down, even with BKB. Doom as well. So, right after that, as well, Arteezy picks Terrorblade, which is one of his favorite heroes, his comfort heroes, right? So, the problem here is that as NA's top team, the other regions definitely would have already come up with a plan to counter these two heroes, right? Their favorite heroes. So as we can see, right, Grimstroke, Doom, good into Storm. And then if we keep looking at the draft, they actually don't make any adjustments, EG, to the first two picks. They actually don't care about trying to protect Storm. They just believe in Abed, right? Which is fine. They pick a Nature's Prophet and a Jakiro, which is extremely strong in lane. What their plan is they want to win lane and then just push down towers and just win the game, right? So that's their plan, their own plan. They don't care what the enemy picks. But for EU, right, they pick heroes to try and counter. Which is why they one up NA, because NA is just like playing by themselves, and it's kind of like they're getting sucker punched by a different region from the side, because they're not suspecting this to happen, right? So if we take a look, Visage is extremely strong in lane, right? With the burst, like it completely counteracts how EG wants to win lane, right? Visage will win the lane instead, or at least tie. And then Grimstroke is extremely strong in lane as well when it has a core that has a stun, which they end up picking Skeleton King, right? Or Wraith King. So, also for mid, you know what? They pick Storm first, so Void Spirit, obviously, after you get the A staff, really good into Storm Spirit and TB. Just in general, the drafting between different regions really shows, because if you look at the other NA teams, they also didn't perform as well because they also have the same problem. They just try to play their own game instead of countering the other team, so they're actually just a little bit behind. Let's look at another example. EG versus T1 game 1. Again, they confidence pick Storm Spirit first, and again they get countered by Grimstroke. Similar to the other game, T1 also pick a Dragon Knight, which is really good click stun into Storm Spirit, and EG decide to play Timbersaw to counter Dragon Knight, right? So right here, it kind of seems one-dimensional. They pick Timbersaw because it's good into DK. It's something that Nightfall knows how to play, but again, it's countered by Grimstroke. When Timbersaw throws out his ulti, if he gets silenced by Grimstroke, he cannot auto-attack, so he can't kill the soul. Likewise, if he gets binded, he cannot Timber Chains out, just like Storm can't fly. Both of these heroes get countered by Grimstroke that was already picked before Timbersaw. So again, they're just playing their own game. They believe that they can do well. I know this is going to sound repetitive, but let's take a look at one more example. Right here, Tundra picks Pugna first pick, and EG again decide to play their own game, disregarding getting countered by the Pugna pick. They pick Enchantress and Storm. So first off, obviously Enchantress ulti susceptible to magic damage, which Pugna has. Secondly, Pugna's ward very strong into Storm Spirit. Again, they decide that they don't care and pick Storm again, which is Abed's favorite hero, his best hero. So yeah, like I said, they're drafting wise, EG decide to play their own game. They believe that they're the better team, so that's just how they play, and that's totally fine. Honestly, Abed does really well in lane with his Storm Spirit, so not a big problem there. Just something I want to point out in general for NA regions. Now that we got drafting out of the way, I want to talk about the setup of the game, specifically how EG always has a disadvantage from the start of the game. So right here we see TB already walked out of the base, but goes back to get a ward, right? So this is extremely important that he has this walk back instead of running out directly. Without walking back, if he had the ward from the start, he'd already be here. And he could put down a ward here that ends up getting de-warded by the enemy Tundra team that smoked into the jungle, right? So this is about 50% why EG loses the game. So right here we see that Tundra comes in, puts down a ward. This ward actually gives them vision and tells them that TB has this ward, right? So as we can see, TB doesn't know. He walks up, puts down the ward, and walks back into the ward vision again. So obviously, Tundra knows that this ward is right here. And this is really important because instead of just dewarding immediately, what they do is they actually walk out of the XP range and just let Void Spirit get the solo XP. If you play mid, you know this is extremely important because you get the solo XP, you get to level 2 faster, you have a chance to surprise the enemy, you know, you can kill them. And usually, you know, this would have been the end for mid, right? But Abed actually outplays mid, he outplays 9, he denies way more creeps and actually ends up with a level advantage over 9. So actually without this, it's safe to say that Abed would have won mid much more and shut down 9 much harder. So not only do they lose this vision, the enemy team gets gold and he gets XP to win mid. Like, it's just so much in Tundra's favor because of a simple mistake that they didn't decide to put out the ward immediately from the start. TB had to walk back and waste this couple of like 3-4 seconds, right? So we can take a look at another example of this. Right off the bat, we see that Jerax draws the line on the minimap. He's gonna take the safe route and he's gonna ward right here. So right now, Arteezy decides to go out and scout, which I'm all for scouting, but I think it's a little too early. First of all, the enemy team has really good first blood potential, right? They can invade. They have DK stun, Beastmaster, Hoodwink, really easy first blood. So they actually do catch Arteezy here. And Arteezy does live with his magic stick, but the reason this is a problem is because as we see, Arteezy almost dies and he has to walk home to heal, right? But it's a little early in this game. If Arteezy was a little later, it would be a little bit better. So let me explain why. So right now, because Bloodseeker has to walk home, right? It allows for Tundra to just have one person here to fight for the rune instead of having two, because there's no danger of dying. Since Bloodseeker is walking home, only Enchantress, and he doesn't do much damage in the beginning, right? So they have one person here, and it allows for Tundra to send the rest of the team to bot to fight for this rune. Usually, if you invade, you know, you can just avoid them and just take the bottom 2 runes, but because this happened so early on, they send 2 people down and to fight for this rune. Good for EG, they actually, Crit does get this rune by tossing DK, but he gets harassed a lot right here. And this actually plays into the laning phase. So we see he gets harassed almost by more than half HP. He tries to go back to, he doesn't heal, so he goes to lane, right? And because he was harassed so much, if we look here later in the laning phase, usually right here, I don't know why. So Tiny, I guess because he got harassed, he doesn't want to trade blows with Pugna, which usually you would, right? Because Tiny has much more attack than Pugna, and then he can toss. But instead, what Crit decides to do is toss Pugna over to Nightfall, which this is a really bad play because look what happens, right? He just gets stunned and then they just harass him. Nightfall loses so much HP and it's much harder for him to last hit in the game, right? So, like I said, they have a bad start, just like last game. And on the risk of being repetitive, I'm going to show you guys one more example. Let's take a look at T1's game. So I'm not going to repeat myself too much. I'm just going to show you guys what happened. Again, you know, EG has a bad start. They try to fight for the runes, but they actually end up losing all 4 runes, which is extremely detrimental to mid, right? You're so far behind in the bottle. T1 gets all 4 runes, and like I said, EG just has, I feel like they don't have a good setup in the beginning of the game. They don't try and at least break even with the enemy team. They don't have a plan in the beginning. Their plan is just to have Abed creep block and the 2 supports either try and put down a ward or they just stand at mid and just wait around, I guess, for people to check this ward, but didn't work out. So again, they have a bad start, and yeah, let's move on to the next point. Alright, so the biggest problem EG has is their innate ability to throw. So let's break this down. Basically, EG has one strat only. So what always happens is Abed plays mid, and usually he wins his lane. So what happens is the two supports play around mid. They just fight mid while RTZ solo farms, and they always pick a lane bully for Nightfall to just harass their carry, enemy carry, and farm his blink or whatever he needs to do team fights, right? So usually this works out pretty well. As you can see, most games this is what happens. RTZ has top net worth, Abed's like second or third net worth. They do pretty well. But every time when they have a lead, Abed or someone on their team overextends and they just end up feeding. So like right here we can see that they have a ward behind, they see the two supports, the creeps are on Saksa, and somehow Abed still gets binded here and just dies, right? So he has a lead right now and he's dead for the next 20 seconds, but if we keep looking, once he revives, he goes down to bot, and then I'm just gonna fast forward a little bit. They don't get any kills and he ends up dying again. So again, throwing his lead. He was second net worth, now he's like what, 6th. This happens again and again. So let's take a look right here. Abed low on health and mana, don't know why he stays here. I guess he tries to catch this wave. Right before he dies, let's take a look. RTZ first net worth, and Abed second or third net worth, like I said, and he ends up dying right here. He gets caught, immediately 5th net worth, right? But it's not just him, it's his whole team. Right here, they try and go for DK. I guess this is the easy way to just throw their lead. They take too much time. The enemy team TPs to save DK, and if we just jump a little bit through this fight, two supports end up dying, and then Storm has to TP home with no HP and mana. He loses so much time and net worth, and then after this whole thing, we see that Storm is again the 6th net worth, which he was originally 3rd. Huge lead, ends up throwing everything. So this isn't a reoccurring issue with EG. I know I keep saying this, but I'm gonna show you guys another clip at the risk of repeating myself. Let's take a look. Alright, this is game 2, EG versus T1. We see that then EG is trying to 4-man push this, and they didn't even take first tower. First tower has so much HP, and they start to tower dive with the lead again. If we look right before, everything goes wrong. Kunkka has almost the same net worth as Lina, right? They're both mids. And then top net worths, again RTZ, and Nightfall second. Crit overextends, they can't help him. This tower is not even close to being finished. They just waste everything, and Lina originally same net worth as Kunkka, now above him. And if we keep looking a little bit longer in this clip, they stay around for I don't know what reason. They have no vision around here, so I don't know why they believe it's safe, but they decide to stay, and then Abed ends up getting caught along with Jerax. Let's take a look right here. So Jerax gets caught right here, Abed gets caught right here, they both die, and yep, typical EG throwing their lead. That's it for this video, guys. Let me know if you guys agree with me. If not, leave in the comments what you guys disagree with, and I really hope EG does well because they're one of the best teams in North America, and it would be really sad if Inate gets knocked out of the majors first. So good luck, EG.